to share more with you. He's like, there's only so much he could do. And then he's like, I shouldn't have taken this money. I shouldn't have taken money from you Christian people. And he walks away. But our group was there for a while. And then he comes back. And he was really humbled by that. He was really asking for repentance and telling us that, the devil took hold of him at that time, of all the situations and everything. And so he actually asked us to pray for him. During the prayer, he's just joking to cover up all the pain and everything. And so, yeah, he admitted to his problems, his addictions, and asking God for repentance on the spot. He actually prayed for himself too, with our whole group. So yeah, right when he got our part, what's the chance of that? Having that opportunity. So yeah.
We got Vincent. Where are you from, Vincent?
Oregon State.
Can you share with us what God did today?
Well, today my group, we went to the Ghirardelli Square, and we thought of the idea of giving free hugs also, and so we did that on the corner, and it was actually neat because people really appreciated that we were giving free hugs. I mean, some people rejected us, but that was fine, but those who wanted the free hugs, they really appreciated of that, and it was really great. This is my first time doing outreach because this is my first conference, and so I felt really good, like being a vessel of Christ and just being kind to everyone, those who accepted and rejected us for our hugs. And it was great.
Amen. Next we have Andrew from the University of Washington. Andrew, how did God move today?
Alright, well, it was cool. At first, I was with Brenda, and we went to J-Town, Japan, in Tokyo. And the first guy we went up to, he had a hat and everything and these nice shoes, and he looked pretty thug. So we're like, oh man, should we go talk to him? Yeah, just go talk to him, let him loose, except for lives. So we go up to him, and we're like, hey man, we're just doing a little survey. Can you tell us about yourself? What your spiritual background? And he goes, he was saved in early 2000s, but very recently, along the process, he kind of fell away, and he just didn't go to church anymore. And we're like, oh man, what's keeping you back from church? And he's like, well, there's some things in this world that I can't let go of yet, just worldly things that he's dealing with. And we're like, I see. So why don't you go to church anymore? And he's like, I keep saying sorry. Then okay, he said blanking. He said he was supposed to go to church today with one of his friends, but he didn't. And then we show up out of nowhere and we're like, hey, you at church? He said, dude, this had to be like Jesus, because he started, his mind started going, he started smiling when I was like, yeah, dude, I've been thinking about it these days, and the fact that you guys are talking about it just surreal. So we left him, and then 5 minutes later we run into him again, coming out of the building. I'm like, hey man, what's up? He's like, yo. And then he goes, hey, what's your name, man? I wanna talk to you on Facebook. So we exchanged information, and it was so legit because he's down here and I'm not here. And so I'm just gonna talk it out. Hopefully we'll bring him back. And I just want to share that because hey Brendan, I want to share that because it's not only about the never heard of the gospel people. It's also for the people who kind of need some encouragement. It's always nice to talk to a fellow Christian or an ex-Christian.
That's for sure.
All right, thanks for sharing. We've got Charles from Portland State.
Yeah, it's me and one other person from PSU. It's crazy. Alright, so one interaction that I had was with the lady around like mid-40s, early 50s. And she was raised in a Catholic family. And then she drifted away from God and Christianity altogether. And then she married an atheist man. And they've been married about 26 years. And it was kind of hard to talk to her because she's already been through all the motions. And she was telling us that she already went through church. She knows everything about God and Christ. So her heart was kind of closed off to us. But as we're talking to her and asking her questions about what happened, what is your perception on Christians? And have you ever thought about going back to God? You could see that in her eyes. She was really thinking about it. There was times where she would just stare off into space for like 20 seconds just thinking about it. And even though we couldn't get her to say at that moment that she was going to turn back to God and become a Christian right away, just that alone, that you could see that change starting, was worth all the awkward moments that we had to go through. And my partner was Grace Wu, by the way. And yeah, she was good. She was great. She was more nervous than I.
All right, thank you.
All right, next we have Nelson from the University of Oregon. And Tammy from Oregon State University. Okay, so why don't you guys share how God moved today?
Cool, thanks. So we were sharing at Fisherman's Wharf in Pier 39 area today, and we approached an elderly gentleman who was sitting up by himself on a bench, and we just went up to him and was like, hey, how's it going? And we talked to him, and he responded in a really heavy Middle Eastern accent that was really hard to distinguish, so we're just like, and then so we just had a conversation. We were just talking to him, and he says, oh, why are you guys here? Like, are you visiting? And said, oh, we're here for a conference for this thing called Epic. And he's like, oh, what is this meeting you guys are having? And we tell him, it's a Christian conference, and we're all coming together here just to tell people about God. And he goes, oh, so what do you guys need? And then we're just like, oh, we were wondering if we could just ask you a couple of questions about your spiritual background, and just wondering if we could share with you ours. And he was totally interested. He really wanted to know, and we just shared with him the gospel. But it was really difficult because we had to go about it in a really basic way, and it was really hard to communicate. He said he could only understand about half of what we were saying, so we had to go over it a lot, and it was just a really difficult struggle for us. But then we just continued pressing on, and we talked for several hours, and I'm just going to let Tammy finish.
So I guess the way that we used to strategize, was just to use universal words and universal hand motions to represent a universal God. And after going over the gospel with him, he came to accept God as his Lord and Savior. Find people and to park, and he was so thankful. He started whipping out sandwiches from home and candy bars to give to us as his way to say thank you. But we're like, you don't need to show this to us. You can just thank God because it's not our work. And he was just trying to culturally accept us, because he's like, so how do you express how you thank people? And so he went to Nelson, and Nelson was like, I'm cool with a handshake. So he shakes his hand, and then he's like, how about you? And I'm like, I'm also cool with a handshake. So I shake his hand, but then he's like, well, in our culture, we give kisses. And so my cheeks, because I don't know. It was just kind of awkward, but I just said, if that's how you want to express how thankful you are, then I will receive it. And I just really appreciate the cultural, languages. So that's pretty much it. He was just really thankful, and we just want to hopefully keep him in our prayers. He was like, I want your names, I want to pray for you guys every day. But he's going back to Jordan in June, so I just hope that that's my hope for him and my prayers for him, and to God be the glory.
Thank you, guys.
Amen. All right now we've got Hannah and Alex.
Hello, my name is Alex, and today me and Hannah were members of the McCee now. And it was around, just sat next to us, and then we looked at the time, and I was like, Hannah, do you want to attack? Let's attack. So we were like, excuse me, and then the guy turned around, and then we asked him, like, we're doing a quick survey, and we just wanted to ask you a few questions. And he said, do you speak Chinese? And I was like, 广东话? He was like, no. I was like, 普通话? He was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So I tried sharing to him in Mandarin, and it was really difficult because I'm not a native speaker of Mandarin. So I tried my best, but there were a lot of words that I couldn't express in Mandarin to him. And it was just a really eye-opening experience for me because it's like I can share with so many different kinds of people because I can speak Chinese. And it was a great experience, which Hannah will expand on.
First off, just how he started the story, I'm surprised that we were even taking a break, because I just wanted to come up here to share how encouraged I was by my partner, who coincidentally was coming up. So, he was my partner. But, I'm surprised we were even taking a break, because just this is the most people that I'd ever shared with during outreach, and it's his first time sharing, so I'm he'll probably be nervous, we'll do walking around and stalling, but he's every other person, he's what about them, they're sitting down, what about them, they're sitting, I'm okay, yeah, sure, yeah, go ahead. And we were in the middle of taking a break, and actually the experience that he was talking about, that was for me, that was the hardest person, for us to have shared, the hardest sharing experience for me, because at the same time, it was the experience that showed me God the most, because all I could do was sit there and squirm and pray. I don't know Chinese, and right off, it's just sitting there and seeing this intense conversation going on in front of me. They were moving the umbrella around. I guess they were doing an umbrella analogy or something. He was and even just the chances of it, he was an old man who, the small time, he was visiting for 3 days or something, out of all, from Taiwan. So it's what are the chances of us running into this guy? Out of the 3 days he's in the U.S. and sitting down with him, and he sat down with us and just I don't know, it was really just humbling to really, and it felt the most the closest I had felt to God during the experience, just because I couldn't do anything, I was not in any control at all. All I could do was pray and hope that the conversation was going well, and every now and then he'd check in and tell me what was going on, but for the most part it was just okay, I need to just sit and I can't rely on my words. All I can do is trust God, trust Alex, which I do, and I don't know, it was just a really good experience. Awesome, thanks for sharing.
Shancy from UCSB, and Wendy from UC Davis. So how did God move today?
Alright, so everyone pray at 421 today? Yeah? Okay, cool. So after we went out sharing in the city, we came back, and then I was like, alright, what are we going to pray for? So then when we huddle up, and we're about dear God, and then all of a sudden, so we're all huddled like this, right? And then all of a sudden I feel these arms on my shoulders, and I'm like, who's that? And I just thought it was one of somebody else. And then so we look, and it's this homeless lady, and we're like, oh my gosh. Sweet. And then so she just started talking to us, and then she just super apologetic and saying how sorry she was, and we're like, what's going on? And then she's like, yeah, like I used to go to church. I think I have HIV. Like I'm positive, and like it was just crazy. And she's like, yeah, like I don't know. Like I have kids, and I don't want them to see me like this. And like, can you guys just pray for me, pretty much? And so like, yeah.
Yeah, and then after we found out her story, she has 3 kids, and she hasn't seen them in 5 years. And also, she also has a mother that has rejected her and like disowned her as a daughter because of what she did in the past. And like we stood there, all of us were in shock. We didn't know what to do. We were sort of like, we had to get back, right? So we were like, we don't know what to do. Thank you, God, for letting us pray for someone. But then the lady like wouldn't let us go. Like, she like clung on to us and was like, can you please write me letters? Can you please send me something? Keep in contact with me because no one will talk to me. Everyone I approach, like, won't talk to me because they think that I'm dirty and unclean. And we're all like, all our hearts broke. Like, we really didn't know what to say to her except that God loved her. We stood around and prayed for her for at least half an hour. And, you know, just to know how lucky we are. Like, to see this woman like break down and have no one to talk to and just want someone to talk to so bad and be so apologetic, and how, you know, we don't even come to God like crying, but she was like in tears, like she couldn't even stand up at one point. And so yeah, that's
my first name was Alex, and yeah, and I was actually secretly hoping that I would find someone who speaks Mandarin so I could share. But what happened today was that I saw Drew and Paula, and they were like, oh, there's this French lady over there. And I was like, oh, French lady, French phone. I was like, in LA? Oh no, wait, in San Francisco? I was really surprised. So I went over, and apparently she wouldn't open up to to Drew and Paula because she was like, oh, she's haunted, and she was like, I don't want to talk to you because you're not French. So I started speaking to her in French, and she was really surprised. She was like, oh. And then she started opening up, and she started telling me about how she got tricked into marrying a guy in the States, and she couldn't read the contract, so she couldn't go back to France without signing like permission form or whatever. And so like she basically kind of moved around, and she never had a house. And now like she's like 70 something, and she doesn't have like a house, doesn't have like a toilet, doesn't have anything, and she has to she spends her time in the mall because she knows the security guard, and he takes care of her. And she doesn't like California. She's only here because she's relying on the medical care system to have medicine. But I think it was like the first time that she has like confided so much in someone because she hasn't really come across any French-speaking person in California. So, but she was already Catholic. But her faith in God has been shaken because she's been through so much, and I was just glad that I could be there for her to listen and for her to find like mental support. And in the end, we prayed together with her. And later on, I bought chocolate, and then I tried to find her, but she moved downstairs because it was too cold up there. But she was just really glad, and in the end, she was, I don't know, she just felt really happy. She just looked a lot happier, although in the end, she was like, I know I'm going to die soon, but at least, like she said, at least I can be like released from this world. So I just feel like this is a really moving experience for me because I came to this conference really unsure of my faith, and today I realized that, well, there's like a purpose. God has created purpose for me to do what I'm supposed to do, so.
Okay. We had Civic Center. We had 5 people in there. We broke up, Alpha team, Bravo team. At first, we're intimidated, walking around, scanned the area, kind of checked out who we're dealing with. It's like, it was a little scary. Neighborhood, we're by the Terranoid district, rough part of town. But Spirit kind of took over, gave us courage, and the momentum picked up. It doesn't matter whether you're a veteran or a rookie doing this, sharing your faith, it's still equally intimidating. You just got to rely on God. And in the end, we pretty much talked to a about a dozen people already coming back here. And my team is also down there. They're about to share what they experienced from this day.
In the beginning, when we started sharing, it was kind of hard for us to like find a person to actually share to because they were all walking and they were all in a hurry. So we're supposed to be outside, but then we decided to go to the library, the main library, and that's where we shared to people. And we went to the children's section, so we shared to this Spanish woman who didn't know how to speak English. He didn't know how to understand English. I mean, Spanish. I mean English. So I was like, like I don't really know how to speak Spanish, so how can I share the gospel to her? But then I went thank the Lord because I took 3 years of Spanish in high school, so I was still able to like deliver the gospel to her, and you know, I just said El Dios ama tú. So yeah. So and also like that didn't stop us from sharing the gospel, even though she didn't understand English. We were still able to give her the message, like with our rusty Spanish, and with the help of Daniel, who also took Spanish in high school. We were still able to God really moved us to really just share to her in Spanish.
Going on the same train as we were, and obviously she just missed it. So I went over and I sat down and talked with her. I just said, the weather's been pretty cold, huh? And she was, yeah, it's been like this for a while. And started to talk to her and found out she lived in the area. And then she was wondering, like, oh, are you guys local? Because, she's looking around a bunch of Asians. And she's like, okay, that's kind of weird. But just talking more with her, she asked, oh, what are you here for? Epic conference. And so she goes, oh, what's Epic? And I said, well, it's a ministry, campus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then so I asked her, oh, do you have any church experience? And she goes, yeah, I went to church until I was 15, and then, I met their dad, and she went to her 2 little girls, and then just kind of stopped off after that. And so, I said, well, do you mind if I share with you what I believe? And she goes, sure, go ahead. And so I talked to her about, just having a personal relationship with Christ. Because she said, oh yeah, I believe in God, I believe in, that Jesus Christ saved me and all that stuff. But like, I just read the Bible and pray, but, it's just, what I do. And well, having a personal relationship with Christ is like, Lord, what do you want it mean to love Him? What do you mean to live your life for Him? And, she's kind of like, oh, that's really cool. So, we got 2 booklets. We got the Satisfied booklet and the Knowing God Personally booklets. Like, everyone has the Satisfied booklets. And she, we got on the train, and she, I kind of played with her daughters a little bit, and she read the booklet the whole way through by herself. And then I asked her, do you have any questions about it? She started crying, and she was like, that's exactly what I needed. Like, God sent you today because I needed to know that I still needed to pursue and seek Him. Because I guess she just moved to the area, she's going through a divorce, and she just needed some encouragement to keep looking for
ice cream, and we were sitting down on the bench, and we had asked this lady who was sitting right next to us whether she wanted to talk, and I was like, could we talk about your life? And she's like, probably not. And so we were just sitting there eating ice cream, and we told her, we were talking about conference and stuff, and then she was just like, oh, what conference are you guys at? And we were just like, oh, it's this leadership conference kind of thing. We left out the Christian part. We didn't put it in yet. But like just a little background about her. Like she was adopted when she was 12. She's Korean, and her foster parents are white, and so she grew up in this very like just kind of neutral ethnic kind of thing, where she didn't learn about her culture and stuff, and so she was actually disowned like a couple years back because her family, or her and her dad fought a lot, and so her dad kicked her out, and she was like left out of the will or something, and her mom died about 4 years back, right before her dad disowned her, and Samantha will finish the story.
So her mom died, and she wasn't allowed to see her, but she was dying of cancer. So when she did see her, she was a vegetable. So she's really bitter about that. We asked her if she ever went to church, and she said, I'm more or less a Christian, but I stopped going to church after I was like 15. So we prayed on her, and we prayed for her life, and she opened up a lot. She started crying, and we asked her, I asked her, I'm from the area, you should come check out my home church sometime. And when I told her to my home church, she's like, that's where I used to go when I was little. And so I just invited her again, and I told her, if you ever want to come back, we're always there for her. And so she's thinking about it now.
And I guess about this, and we gave him sandwiches and just started talking to him, and he completely defied any stereotype that anyone might have about homeless people. He didn't do drugs, didn't drink, was always trying to do good deeds and just protect all the other people that he had in his life. And so we started talking to him about God, and he had told us that he was just raised Christian, but he just didn't know how he felt. He believed in God, but not Jesus, and told us he was really searching for it. And so we got to go through the whole KGP, and he actually wanted a booklet and took it and told us that he was going to share it with his friends, which was way awesome. And so we just went through it with him, and although he didn't accept Christ today, we got to pray with him, and he prayed with us, and he just crying and sharing with us just all the hardships he'd been through, and he just thought we were such a blessing to him, but in fact he was a blessing to us. So it was way cool today. And then, John.
Yeah, so today was like my first time ever sharing, and it was a great experience. I don't know, it's just, I could see like God working through all of us, and just everything went so smooth. Like, it was weird how he asked us for the booklet before we even like showed him one, stuff like that. And so I just wanted to share like how great it was today. And I find myself ended up with a lot of long conversations, because this one was pretty interesting at the end, also kind of shocking. So we went up to this guy sitting by himself at a table, and asked him just started chatting with him, and asked him how was his day, and he got pretty enthusiastic towards us, and just started talking, and we learned that his name is Mark, and his Indian, well, not American Indian, but just from Asia. And he started talking about that he's actually Catholic, but then he started getting really bitter because he finds himself being forced to go to church, like go to Catholic church by his mom, and he said he wanted to figure it out himself. And then he launched himself into a lot of ranting about racism, and also about how he's been looked down by his own people, and he's struggling with identity problems. That he just wants to be by himself. He doesn't want to be with anybody else. And then we started noticing that he's kind of acting strangely. He couldn't concentrate and slurring his words. We could barely make sense of what he's saying. And at the end, he just reached down beneath the table, he took out a bottle. It's not a liquor bottle, but we know what is inside of it, and started drink the last drop of it. And we want to share with him, but then he kind of rejected. And so we left him with the booklet. But he was happy. I can tell that I hope that he retained some of the things that we told him. I tried to help him solving his identity.
For a week to work with HIV/AIDS organizations, and at the time I was wondering what God had to do with it, because I really wanted to do something for God, but that was with my school, which was secular. And today I found out that we were going to 16th and Mission, where I actually stayed 2 years ago, and so I was wondering how the two would connect. And Will and I were walking down the street, and he was like, "Do you want to share first?" I was like, "Okay." And as soon as I said okay, this guy comes walking out the store, and he was someone that we spent a day with painting hotel rooms 2 years ago. And it was completely random. I wasn't even ready to start sharing, but he just walked out, and so I was like, "Hey, do you remember me from 2 years ago?" And he actually did. And so it was just how God connected to completely different time periods, and it was really cool. So.
Okay, I'm Willard, UCI. Okay, like a little bit later in our outreach, we were just walking back from talking to this Mexican store owner, but that's not what the story is about. We were walking back, and we were just across the street, and then suddenly this like Asian like lady comes up to us and says, "Keys!" Like she has keys, like a ring of keys, yeah. And she's like, "Keys and college and do you know where the college is?" And I'm like, "What college? I'm sorry." She's like, "Oh, the local college." And then like, maybe she doesn't speak English, and I'm like, "Oh, Cantonese?" And she's like, "Oh yeah." And then so I speak Cantonese to her, and she's still not making any sense. She's like talking about like banks and checks and financial aid and college and what department should I give it to. I'm like, wait. What are these keys for? And basically, like, this went on for, like, I don't know, like, really long, like 15 minutes or something, of me not understanding, and Yan, like, trying to help in English, and she's, like, answering to Yan in English, answering to me in Cantonese. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And so she's like, yeah, so can you help me? And I'm like, help you do what? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then, so I'm just like, wait, what? And like we conclude that she has some sort of like mental disorder or something, or like dementia. So I'm serious, like she doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, oh, this feels so bad. Like I don't know what I can do. Like and we tried getting her back home, like over at your house. She's like, oh no, I'm not gonna go back home. Okay. So we were just like, I think we just have to go because we're gonna be late. Like if we don't like keep walking down, because we were like a bit farther away from where we reconvened. And so we just left, and I was like, I feel so bad, like we just abandoned a lady like with like dementia, and I'm like, what? Like God, like what is going on here? Like why did you bring this woman into our path if I couldn't help her? Like, you know, and that's when we were just like walking and praying. And I was just like, maybe God was just showing us how helpless we are sometimes, like how we all have to just like give it up to Him, like everything, you know, like maybe I can speak Cantonese, that didn't help, you know, like, and I was like, maybe like Yan's story, like it'll be something in like the grand scale of things, like in 2 years, like in a different time, maybe that moment will help, maybe, but I mean, I have faith, and I've learned that, yeah, maybe sometimes I'm hopeless, and that's why I put my faith in God.
You can get it. But, no, you can last one. So we're superheroes. Like that? Wow. I just want to give it up for our MCs, Whitney, Gordon. I'm kind of doing incognito. I just arrived, close to yesterday. I arrived yesterday morning from Philly, and we had a great time talking about heroes and superheroes. And I found out that I'm a hero. I don't know if you guys are getting it, but I just found out that I'm a hero. I'm an ordinary person, and then I have discovered that I have extraordinary powers. And as I rid myself of my own ambitions, I submit to the leading and the power of the Holy Spirit. I can see that I've been used in extraordinary ways, and I want to share some of that with you this morning.
No. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go!
My mom will never doubt again. That's why you sit up front.
Get all the prizes.
Yeah. Yes, and again, one more announcement. The Lost and Found Tommy Joe has so nicely laid.
Parking people don't have to. Isn't this, whatchamacallit?
Too bad it's cloudy today.
will be funny. They're fun. Get a fast car. I will let them pass. Our car is nice. Just like that video. Okay, it's not as cool as I thought. Like funny, yeah. What did the car place say? Oh, are they gonna fix it? Oh, look at this interesting car. It's M something. It like looks like a Z3, but with a hard top. So, Chris and Jamie, how far apart do you guys live from each other?
5 minutes drive, yeah.
Or like distance wise?
Let me think. I guess
Like 2 streets down.
yeah, it's pretty much 2 streets down.
You guys ever walk to each other's house?
I dropped him off before. Like my mom dropped him off before, so yeah.
Do you guys like go? You guys have stuff house?
I don't think it does, you guys.
No.
Oh, but
Oh yeah. That was only that day.
Yeah, too bad it's cloudy. It's to keep you awake.
Yeah, I can't even hear my own videos. Representing IFCBC.
oh, we're there now.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know the do re mi fa sol la ti do.
Yeah.
When they say T, they say C, not they say C instead, right?
I think so.
C, yeah, they say C. Because every time my teacher's teaching me, she says she instead of T. I was like trying to figure out what's C, and then I'm like, oh, it's T.